There are moments in geopolitics when a war does not end with surrender, a victory speech, or a signed agreement. It ends with everyone pretending they still have control while the ground quietly moves under their feet. That is exactly where the Trump is standing today. Welcome to Fourth Floor Post English. Trump cannot win this confrontation with Iran. He cannot comfortably walk away from the strait, and he cannot admit that the real problem is no longer Tehran. The real problem is that American order has reached a point where even its old instruments, oil, sanctions, Arab alliances, naval pressures, dollar dominance, bloc politics, diplomacy, intimidation are not producing the same results anymore. And that is why this moment is much bigger than one war, one blockade, one American president, such as Trump, and one Iranian proposal. Iran has now done something very clever. It has not surrendered. It has not given Trump the victory he wanted. It has simply opened the door and said, if America gives assurances on the strait, we can come to table. Everything can be discussed except the one thing Trump wants as a trophy: uranium handed to America. Iran may allow Russia to play a role in that. It may accept some arrangement where Russia becomes the custodian or the mediator for the uranium. But Iran will not hand its strategic card directly to Washington just so Trump can walk into a rally and say, look, I defeated them. So now the pressure quietly shifts to America. Until yesterday, the narrative was that Iran is stubborn, Iran is refusing to talk, Iran is holding the world hostage. But now, if Trump refuses to come to the table, then if he continues dragging this standoff, if the strait remains volatile and the oil keeps bleeding the world economy, then the blame no longer sits only with the Iran, it begins to sit with America too. Because Iran has offered a face-saving route, not surrender, not defeat, a face-saving route to Donald Trump. And Trump's problem, or rather the American problem, is that this may not be enough for America. Because America's real issue is not the uranium or not even the Trump's win. America's real issue is the strait. If Trump or America leaves the strait without some long-term mechanism or the defense mechanism, China will read it as American retreat. Iran will read it as victory. The Arabs, American allies, will read it as weakness. Israel will panic, UAE will look exposed. And the rest of the world will quietly understand that America brought a fleet, created a crisis, shook the markets, and then left without changing anything. But if he stays, what does he gain? What does America gain? Nothing. More cost, more pressure, more global frustration, more disruption in oil markets, more reason for the countries to stop bypassing sanctions, more incentive for China to accelerate alternative routes, more instability for the very Arab partners America claims to protect. And that is why this is no longer a war strategy, this is a trap strategy. And the most interesting part is that China is not rushing to rescue America or even Trump. China understands the game. Trump wants China dragged into this strait equation directly, because if China enters the conversation, Trump can pretend that America is still negotiating from the center of the world. But China is refusing to give him this satisfaction. China is doing what serious powers do. It is not shouting, it is preparing. Routes are being restored, alternatives are being built, Gwadar becomes more relevant, Pakistan's geography becomes more relevant, Iran's land routes becomes more relevant, Russia becomes more relevant. And with the every extra day of American pressure, this American blockade, the world learns one more lesson. If one narrow waterway can be turned into permanent American bargaining chip or any other country's bargaining chip, then everyone wants their presence or the different route to bypass it. This is where Trump's gamble begins to damage the very order he wants to protect, the American order. The old American system worked because everyone accepted its basic bargain. You stay inside the dollar system, you accept the American umbrella, security umbrella, you buy and sell energy through the structures linked to American power, you obey sanctions, and you fear isolation. But now the same architecture is being tested. If the strait remains unstable, countries will not sit forever and say, we must protect American prestige. No, they will ask a much simpler questions. How do we protect our economy? How do we get cheaper oil for us? How do we protect our supply chain? And how do we avoid being blackmailed by a naval crisis every few years? And once countries begin asking those questions, seriously, sanctions begins to lose their fear. The dollar system begins to lose its inevitability. OPEC begins to lose its discipline. Arab alliances begin to lose their old logic. And even the old power structures or any power structure linked to the American system will begin to lose their logic. And that is why UAE's behavior matters now. See, people are looking at UAE as if it is just one rich Gulf state trying to manage oil prices or buy Israeli defense system because after selling the oil. No, UAE is becoming a symptom of something much deeper. It is trying to position itself as America and Israel's most useful Gulf partner in this new crisis. It is behaving as if it can stand outside the old Arab consensus, this OPEC, and manage the oil disruption, host or support the American presence. Naval presence maybe for the long term and still remains safe for the regional consequences. That is very dangerous fantasy for UAE. UAE may think it's clever or it is being clever. It may think it can benefit from the Saudis' hesitation right now or the Iranian pressure or Israeli anxiety and maybe American desperation. But the Middle East is not corporate boardroom right now. It used to run like that. Now it's not. It's not being run on the branding presentations and luxury summits. If UAE openly becomes the American-Israeli outpost in the fractured Gulf, it does not become stronger, it becomes exposed. Because the moment OPEC discipline cracks, the issue is not only oil quantity. The issue is petrodollar. The issue is economic model that tied Arab oil, American protection and dollar dominance together. If the model starts cracking from inside, then it is not only Iran's victory. It is not only China's opening. It is beginning of the new Arab power struggle. Saudi Arabia cannot watch its influence collapse forever like that. Qatar will recalculate its own survival, maybe align with Saudi. Iran will keep signaling to those Arabs or Saudi and Qatar that America is no longer a reliable shield. You can see it from the UAE leaving the OPEC. China will wait for everyone to get tired, and Pakistan, if it has even a little strategic sense, becomes one of the few bridges left in the region. But that is the tragedy. Pakistan has a geography, but not always the statecraft. Pakistan has relevance, but not always the decision making. Pakistan has opportunity, but its internal power structure is still behaving like its world is frozen in 1998. Look at the moment we are in. The strait is volatile, China needs alternatives, Iran needs regional breathing space, Arabs need new guarantees, Saudi Arabia's old influence is under pressure, UAE is drifting into a dangerous Israel-India-America line. Europe is preparing to spend massively on defense because even Europe now understands that American reliability is no longer guaranteed. NATO is confused. Germany is expanding its capacities, military capacities, defense capacities. The old allies of America are being pushed into self-protection. And it's not just about defense. Think about Visa. Why Visa? Think about MasterCard. Why MasterCard? Why Facebook? Why YouTube? These are all Americans. Well, I'll talk about Pakistan and Pakistan. Pakistan is still busy deciding which journalist should be punished, which judge should be transferred, which political party should be squeezed, which elite should be scared, and which tender should go where. Which province should come to the next battleground, which law can be normalized today because it hurts the enemy, a political enemy. The people running the system seems to believe that because they have managed PTI, because they have managed courts, because they have managed parliament, because they have managed media pressure, because they have managed elections, because they have managed legal engineering, they can manage history itself. They cannot. The global power structure is moving. The regional economic model is moving. The energy map is moving, and the Arab-American relationship is moving. The China-Iran-Pakistan route logic is moving. And when the world outside moves, the structure inside Pakistan cannot remain frozen forever. This is the central point. Pakistan's old internal arrangement was built around a world where America mattered, where the Arabs mattered. China was useful but not dominant. India was managed through old assumptions, and domestic politics could be controlled through pressure, patronage and fear. The world is weakening. It has not disappeared completely, but it is weakening, the old world. And when external guarantees weaken, the internal structure begins to shake. That is where we are seeing the strange signals at home in Pakistan. We are suddenly seeing elite versus elite matters are started to surface. This one constitutional avenue building. Suddenly old property dispute and elite buildings become political issues. Suddenly accountability language is returning. Suddenly IPPs, the international power plants, the international agreements becoming talking points. Suddenly the Malik Riaz, the infamous Malik Riaz, the business tycoon of Pakistan, becomes useful as a symbol in terms of maybe People's Party, in terms of maybe Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf or Imran Khan. And suddenly Sindh starts smelling like the next battleground. Suddenly Pakistan People's Party is squeezed and managed at the same time. Suddenly Karachi gets development through the same structures people pretend are not political. Suddenly everyone is told this is reform. No, this is not reform. This is either overconfidence or preparation of controlled chaos. Because the economic pressure that is coming cannot be managed by press conferences. Petrol panic already showed how fragile the public mood is. People were waiting in lines, filling tanks, fearing massive jump, and everyone was relieved because the increase was not bad as they expected. This is what our standard has become. We are grateful as a country, as people of this country, when the slap is smaller than the rumor. But what happens when the real storm comes? What if oil stays volatile forever? What happens if the strait remains uncertain? What happens if petrol moves towards unbearable levels? What happens when inflation joins unemployment, political suffocation, provincial anger, terrorism, proxy activity, and public humiliation? Then the sentence, "What can the government do?" will not save anyone. Because this sentence has destroyed Pakistan for decades. What can the government do? Then why is it government? What can parliament do? Then why is it a parliament? What can courts do? Then why are they courts? What can institutions do? Then why do they demand obedience, budgets, respect, and silence? The truth is the current system is surviving because PMLN and Pakistan People's Party understand elite management better than PTI did. If this exact petrol and inflation crisis had happened under the Imran Khan, the same elite networks, same media networks, same business lobbies, same administrative circles or the establishment would have produced anarchy in Pakistan. Under this government, everyone says this is a global pressure. They are managing well. Under Khan, they would have said the country has collapsed. That does not mean that Khan was perfect. It means that the crisis is never only economic. It is always political. It is always a narrative. It is always about the system wants to save and who the system wants to bury. But here is the problem for PMLN and Pakistan People's Party. The laws are normalizing today, the laws they are normalizing today will not remain loyal to them forever. The judicial engineering, the election engineering, the constitutional distortion, the political punishments, the idea that one side can be crushed using the state machinery, all of this looks useful today. Tomorrow, the same machinery can be turned against them and used against them. And if one day the establishment makes some arrangement with Imran Khan, maybe not with the same faces, maybe with the new faces, maybe with the new formula or the different formula, then the same laws will become a curse for those who celebrated them. And this is why I keep saying the internal model must change. Not because I'm hopeful, not because I think the wisdom has arrived, but because the old model cannot carry the weight of the new world. Pakistan is going to become more strategically relevant, yes, but strategic relevance does not automatically improve the life of ordinary people. In fact, in weak states, strategic relevance often makes ordinary people even more irrelevant. The state becomes important to the outside powers, or the establishment becomes important to the outside powers. So the people are told to stay quiet in the name of national interest. And that is dangerous, because proxy wars do not grow in strong, confident societies. They grow where people are alienated. They grow where provinces feel used. They grow where Balochistan is treated as a geography, not the society. They grow where Sindh is treated as a bargaining table. They grow where KPK is treated as a security file. They grow where journalists are punished, judges are pressured, parties are broken, and the citizens are told that the patience is patriotism. Israel and India will not ignore Pakistan after this war. In fact, they will work harder. Pakistan has already shown that it can become a hindrance in Israel's regional ambitions. That makes Pakistan a target for the long-term pressure in terms of Israel. If UAE now becomes a part of the Israel-India aligned nexus or the regional game, then the money, lobbying, media narratives, proxy channels, diplomacy pressures will all increase. And what is our perception or the preparation? Nothing. It's only internal suffocation. This is not seriousness. This is self-harm. The world is entering bloc politics again, but not the old Cold War version. This time, roots, ports, currencies, energy, defense productions, technology, and sanctions all overlap. Pakistan's old role as a country balancing between America and China is no longer enough. Iran now has a direct leverage over the strait and leverage over both of them. China has economic depth. Russia has disruptive power. The Arabs are searching for new guarantees. Turkey will watch for its own opening. India has a size, but it's trapped in its own Modi-era alignments. Europe wants alternative, but does not know how far it can go with America. They have doubts. In this entire equation, Pakistan's role is not to become America's cleric again. Pakistan's role is to understand where geography, China, Gulf insecurity, Iranian survival, and Arab fear intersect. That intersection is where Pakistan stands. But to use that position, Pakistan needs internal legitimacy. It needs political breathing space. It needs provincial confidence. It needs less revenge and more statecraft. It needs a power structure that understands that you cannot ask the world to treat you as important while treating your own people as disposable. A hard reset may look tempting to those who confuse control with strength. But in this environment, more control will create more reaction. More danda will create more resistance. More suffocation will create more cracks. And every crack will be noticed by those who want to use Pakistan's internal weaknesses against its external opportunities. That is the paradox of this moment. Pakistan has really been this relevant and this internally unserious at the same time. A country can sit on the most important map in the line and the world and still able to destroy itself through arrogance, small mindsedness, and internal revenge. Gwadar will not buy us by itself. China submarines will not save us by themselves. Restored roots with Iran will not save us by themselves. Trump's praise will not save us. Saudi anxiety will not save us. UAE's foolishness will not save us. Even America's decline will not save us. Only the state that understands the moment can save us only by using that moment.